My dear children of class 7, good morning. Today we are going to see a new lesson in geography, that is water. Children, when you think of water, what images come to your mind? You think of rivers, the waterfalls, the raindrops, water in your taps. Okay? Yes, tell me. When you think of water, what images came to your mind? Yes, in science you studied about the three states of water: solid, liquid, and gas. Then, in the form of steam, that is called evaporation. Water in the form of droplets, condensation. Water is falling as a rainfall. Okay, and as a groundwater, water in taps, in the wells, ponds, pools, etc. Okay. Children, you love to float paper boats in rain puddles. By noon, the puddles vanish. Where does the water go? Yes, where do the puddles of water vanish? Most of the water goes into the ground. The sun's heat evaporates the water as vapors. On cooling these vapors, condenses and forms cloud. Then this water may fall on land or sea as rain, snow or sleet. Okay. The process by which water continually changes its form and circulates between oceans, atmosphere and land is known as the water cycle. Tell me, what is water cycle? The continuous circulation of water between oceans, atmosphere and land is called water cycle. Our earth is like a terrarium. Learn this new word, okay? Terrarium, T-R-R-A-R-I-U-M, okay? The same water that existed centuries ago still exists today. Okay, a terrarium is an artificial enclosure used for keeping small house plants. Our earth is like a terrarium. Why is our earth is like a terrarium? As the water which existed centuries ago still exists. The water used to irrigate fields in Haryana might have in Amazon river centuries ago. Okay. Next one is, children, can you name the fresh water resources? Yes, tell me. Rainfall, snow, rivers, ponds, springs and glaciers. Water from underground. These are all the sources of fresh water. Then the seawater is very salty because there is a large amount of water in seas and oceans, but it's salty and saline. It is because it contains large amount of dissolved salts like sodium chloride and common salt. Okay. Here define salinity. Salinity is the amount of salt in grams present in 1000 grams of water. The average salinity of ocean is 35 parts per thousand. Okay, here salinity is the amount of salt in grams present in 1000 grams of water. Children, now let us discuss the distribution of water bodies. Nearly 75, you know very well, nearly 75% of the earth's surface is covered with water. There is more water than land on the earth. Still, so many countries face water scarcity. That is shortage of water due to the most of this water is salty or it's polluted beyond use. All the water on the earth is not available to us. Okay. Here they have given the water table, water distribution table. The source is ocean. From ocean we get 97.30 of saline water. From ice caps we get 0.02% percentage. Then groundwater 0.68, fresh water and freshwater lakes 0.009, inland seas and salt lakes 0.009, and from atmosphere 0.0019, rivers 0.001. Okay. Children, tell me, why is water important to us? How will you conserve water? How will you save water? Because water alone can quench a thirst when we are thirsty. Water is needed for survival of plant and animal life. Water is very essential and we should conserve it. Okay, we should not waste water. We should not waste water during brushing, bathing, washing, etc. By trapping the rainwater by watershed development or rainwater harvesting, then by recycling water, okay, by making check dams and bunds on the fields, we can conserve water. Okay. Our next topic is about circulation of ocean water. You know very well, ocean waters keep moving continuously. Okay, the movement of ocean water takes place in three different ways. One is waves, tides, and currents. Okay, winds, that is the main force for the horizontal movement of ocean water. The movement is basically due to difference in temperature and the density of ocean water. Then variation in salinity. The effects of the winds. Okay, these are all the factors. Next one is waves. What are waves? Upward and downward movement of water particles known as wave. Okay, waves are formed when the winds blow across the water surface. The shape and size of the wave depend on the speed of the prevailing winds. In the waves, the surface water rises and falls. The actual forward motion of the water particles in a wave is limited. Okay. Therefore, the waves travel greater distances, but the water particles remain at the same place. The water travels in the direction of winds. Children, you can observe with this phenomenon, what I explained about the waves, with a leaf floating on the surface of the pond, okay, still pond. Otherwise, throw a stone in the water near the leaf. The waves created by the stone spread out in all directions. Okay, the leaf, it's floating up and down as the waves pass, but never moves horizontally. The leaf can be blown away by the wind, not by the waves. Okay, children, the upper part of the wave is called crest, while the lower part is called trough. The vertical distance between the crest and trough is known as the wave height. Okay, upper portion is known as crest and the lowest portion known as trough. This upper and vertical distance between the crest and trough is called wave height. The horizontal distance between two successive crests are called wavelength. Children, huge ocean waves are formed during storms. Okay, such waves can also be generated due to earthquakes or volcanic eruptions. about earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Already you studied in our previous chapters. The height of these waves can be as high as 150 meter. They travel at a speed of more than 700 km per hour. They are called tsunamis. The most common cause of tsunami is an undersea earthquake. It causes large areas of the sea floor to rise or subside. This leads to the generation of huge waves with extremely long wavelength. A tsunami may appear as a huge wall of water coming towards the coast, okay, with a tremendous energy. The fast moving waves, it can crush houses on the other structures, okay, and other structures. Tsunami can cause mass destruction over a large area. Here in your textbook they have given the case study, tsunami in South India, that is 26 December 2004. They explained about the causes, effects of tsunami, that some of the tsunamis caused several destruction. Some of the islands of Indian Ocean were completely washed away. Indira Point in Andaman Nagar got completely submerged. Okay, here is the case study. More than 1,000 people were killed and more than 100,000 of houses were affected. Coastal areas of Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Puducherry, Andhra Pradesh and the Andaman Nicobar Islands were worst affected. Okay. Children, you can ask me a question. Can such an event be predicted in advance? Can we predict tsunami or earthquake? Children, earthquake cannot be predicted in advance. But it's possible to give 3 to 4 hour notice of tsunami, potential tsunami. Such a system are there in Pacific Ocean but not in Indian Ocean. Okay, the seismic activity and tsunami threat is higher in the Pacific. Okay, in in December 2004, that was the most devastating tsunami in the last several hundred years. The large damage caused to life and property was a result of the lack of monitoring, the early warning system, okay, lack of early warning system and the lack of knowledge among the people, okay, coast dwellers. That means the people, those who are staying in coastal areas of the Indian Ocean. Children, the first indication that tsunami is approaching was the rapid withdrawal of water from the coastal region. Withdrawal of water means that water will move away from the coastal region, that will go inside. Okay. Next one is then later it was followed by a destructive wave. When this happened on the coast, instead of people going to high grounds, okay, they have to save themselves, but instead of the people going to high grounds, they started watching, started assembling at the coast to view the miracle. Okay, they were curious to see the things. It resulted in a large casualty of curious people, okay, when the gigantic wave tsunami struck. Okay, can you understand, children? Next one, it's the next topic, that is tides. What are tides? Tides are rhythmic rise and fall of ocean water twice a day is called tide. When the tides are rhythmic rise and fall of sea water at regular intervals, twice a day. Okay, they are most common in oceans and seas. The gravitational pull of the moon and the sun on the surface of the earth causes tides. Children, you know very well about the rotation of the earth. The rotation of the earth also has its impact on the tides. In fact, tides follow the apparent movement of the moon due to its closeness to the earth. Tides are of two types. One is high tide and another one is low tide. The rise in water level is called high tide, while the fall in water level is called low tide. Tides do not rise to the same height every day. Okay. Then children, during full moon and the new moon day. Full moon means Paurnami. Paurnami, Amavasya, the sun and moon and the earth are almost in a straight line. The sun and the moon exert a combined gravitational pull. It's a force. So the high tides are the highest and low tides are the lowest. Okay, this is called, this phenomenon is known as spring tide. On half moon day, the sun and the moon makes a right angle to the earth. Okay, the gravitational pull of the sun and the moon tends to cancel each other. This results in a very small rise or fall in sea water, and it's known as neap tide. Okay. What are all the importance of tides? Tell me, children. The tides that will clear the sediments brought down by rivers on their beds. It prevents siltation of harbors. That is called sedimentation. Okay. Then during high tide, the saline seawater is stored in low-lying coastal area. The saline water is spread out in the fields and used to make common salt. That is another importance. Tides are useful in fishing and navigation. They also help in shipping. When the level of water rises with emerging tides, small ships and fishing boats enter the deltas and estuaries. Tides are a source of energy. Okay. In tidal energy is used to generate electricity in Canada, UK, France and Japan, and in some places. Okay. Next one is about ocean currents. And ocean current is a continuous movement of ocean water in a definite direction over great distances, in the form of broad streams on the ocean water. Broader or slower currents, shallow in depths, are called drifts. Okay. Next one is types of currents. On the basis of temperature, ocean currents may be classified into two types. One is warm ocean currents, another one is cold ocean currents. The temperature of warm currents is more than their surrounding area, and they flow from the equatorial region towards the polar region. You know very well that from equatorial region to polar region. See here is the equatorial region. Here are the polar region. Take your textbook and see. Okay, taken. Repeating again, children. On the basis of temperature, ocean's currents may be classified into two types. One is warm ocean currents and another one is cold ocean currents. The temperature of warm currents is more than their surrounding area. Okay, they flow from the equatorial region to the polar region. You know very well, already you studied in class 6. On the other hand, the cold currents are colder than their surrounding areas and flow from polar region. Okay, you know very well, South Pole, North Pole. South Pole, North Pole, from the polar region to okay, got it. polar region towards the equatorial region. Okay. Then several factors that come to play to cause ocean waters to move as currents. Ocean currents are influenced by breaking waves, wind, earth's rotation, temperature, salinity differences, tides, shape of the adjoining coast, okay, and other things. Ocean currents flow in a direction of prevailing winds. The waters from the equatorial areas expand and flow towards the polar regions, and the waters from the polar regions flow towards the equatorial region. Okay. Next, what are all the effects of ocean currents? First one is cold ocean currents lower the temperature of the coastal areas. That is the point number one. While warm ocean currents raise the temperature. Winds flowing from cold ocean currents decreases the moisture bearing capacity of the winds. On the other hand, warm currents increase the moisture bearing capacity of the winds and help to bring rainfall in the coastal areas. Children, the most deserts are found on the western side of continents washed by cold currents. Okay. Next one, mixing of warm and cold currents. Mixing of warm and cold currents cause heavy fog, which hinders navigation. Okay. Next one is the best fishing grounds of the world are also found where the warm and cold currents meet. Example, the coastal areas near Newfoundland and Japan. The areas where warm and cold currents meet, tiny organisms called planktons develop. Okay. Which are an excellent source of food for fishes. Next one is ocean currents influence navigation. Ships can often prefer to sail with the ocean currents as they can move faster. Warm ocean currents also melt dangerous icebergs, whereas cold ocean currents often carry icebergs to the lower latitudes. Okay, children. Next one is about what are all the importance of hydrosphere. Hydrosphere is important in sustaining life in the biosphere. Hydrosphere provides that the water from lakes and rivers is extremely important for domestic purpose as well as for irrigation. Second one is even rivers and lakes are important for navigation. The oceans also provide man with diverse marine life and marine products. Fishing in lakes and rivers is also a common process. Okay. Then we get salt and other minerals from ocean water. Oceans and other water bodies, it's having an effect on weather and climate. In tidal energy can be generated from ocean waters. Hydroelectricity is generated from rivers. Both are renewable source of energy. Okay, children, as water is such a precious resource, we must use it carefully to improve its quality. We should not pollute our water resources. Water conservation will help to make the gift of nature available to us always. Children, here we reach the end of this lesson. Let me sum it up this lesson at a glance. Okay, we will see the lesson. Here are the important points. First one is the water cycle is a process by which water continuously changes form and circulates between the water bodies, atmosphere and land. The four processes complete the water cycle. One is evaporation, condensation, precipitation and runoff. Okay. What is evaporation? Evaporation is the process by which water from the earth's surface changes into water vapor and rises up in the air. Next one, condensation is the process by which water vapor changes back into water droplets after cooling down. Precipitation is the process by which water comes back to the earth's surface in the form of rainfall or snowfall. Runoff means it's a process by which water is drained away from the surface of an area of land and goes into water bodies. Okay. Nearly 3/4 of the earth's surface is covered with water, but over 97% of this huge water reserve is only saline water, salty water. Next one is constant movements occur in the ocean. The movements can be divided into three broad categories: waves, tides, and currents. Waves are formed by the continuous rising and falling of water on the surface of the ocean. Winds and underwater earthquakes or volcanic eruptions are some of the factors that cause ocean waters. Tides, okay, tides are the regular movements in the ocean water caused by the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun. This alternate rising and falling of the sea can usually be observed twice in a lunar day at a particular place. Next one is ocean currents. Ocean currents means it's a stream of ocean water constantly flowing in definite direction. There are horizontal and vertical currents by which heat is circulated between low and high latitudes and between different depths of the ocean. There are two types of currents, warm and cold. The warm currents originate near the equator and move towards the poles, while the cold currents originate in higher latitude and move towards the equator. Okay, so take your textbook and read this lesson. Okay, thank you children, have a nice day.